YouTube, what's happening is Saturday, June 8th. There are 15 games to talk about in baseball today, but first, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, because let me tell you, I put these videos out each and every day. All of my plays are based fully on statistics, trends, and what the data tells us. And on top of that, all of my plays are 1 unit and 1 unit only. We don't do no 50-unit bombs or any of that nonsense around here. That's how you end up with losses. But what you do get around here? You get winners, because that's what we've been doing here. Yesterday, 6 and 5 day. For most, that's a terrible day. For us, it's green. 0.59 is a good day. We love green anytime we can get it. 17.4 units for the week, and we just crossed 50 units for the last 30 days. The model is on fire. It is smoking. It is en fuego. Pick a word that means hot. That's what this model is. Today, 15 new games to talk about. Let's go ahead and jump to that first one. First up, we got the Phillies and the Mets. Now remember, this is the MLB London series. This game's not in New York. It is in London. We have Suarez with a 1.7 and Manaea with a 3.63. We have the Phillies decently favored on the money line. 9.5 total, some juice on that over. Data, 56.8 Nerfy, pass on that. Mets dominating the stats. Second in both batting average and runs in the last 3 games. 7.7 runs and batting 343 as a team. That's smoking. Philly, on the other hand, ice cold. 26 for 2.3 runs a game and only batting 198. That ain't good. If you can't get dudes on base, you can't get them home and you can't win games. So looking at the strikeouts, 5 and 5.7. Neither team is striking out a lot, which means all those strikeout props you're going to see online here this morning, yeah, I'm passing on all of them, because I don't care who's pitching. If you're not swinging the bat, you can't strike out. So we have Suarez going out there, who only pitched 2 innings last game. He got pulled on the game. And before that, he got roughed up a little bit to Colorado. Did strike out 9 and 10, but look at the game before these two. We have the Mets, 4 hits, only 3 strikeouts against the Mets. So, and then we know every time a pitcher and batter face each other the second time, the batter has the advantage, because he's seen the pitch. He knows what to look for. Advantage batter. And especially, it was only 2.5, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, New York gets an advantage based on that. On Manea's side, he got roughed up against Arizona. People are going to see, ooh, 10 strikeouts. I'm going to take his prop. Remember, Philly striking out 5 times a game for second. Good luck with that one as well. We have the stats. He gets up some runs here. We don't know what we know what we get with him. He's going to give a couple runs. He might get roughed up a little bit. Philly's offense, remember, is ice cold. 2.3 runs, 198. That's what's going to happen. Looking at Suarez, will the Mets get to him? They only got 4 hits last time, so I assume they get at least like 5 or 6 hits this time. Will they be able to get a couple runs? Maybe. Outside of all of that, the main thing that people are going to be missing is the fact that this game is in London, not New York. There is going to be an unfathomable amount of people that don't understand this is a London game. And it's going to baffle me. You're going to see people on Twitter and be like, oh, where's this game in London? Yeah, it's there. So this one, with the fact that the data leans New York, the pitching, I would say probably leans Philly, probably just a little bit. But the main thing being London, because baseball players are creatures of habit. You take them out of their natural habitat and throw them into a different thing, that messes with people, that throws them off. You take them out of the routines. That's any athlete, football, baseball, basketball, hockey. You do that, it throws them off. So I want to see how they acclimate to the travel, how they acclimate to trying new food and doing what they do. I don't know what they're doing there, but all the stuff they got to go through, the publicity, all that stuff. So this entire game is going to be a pass. Next game. Next up, Atlanta and Washington. We have Morton with a 3.88 up against Score with a 3.57. Betting side, we have Braves minus 145. 8.5 is total with a little bit of juice on that under. Data, Nerfy numbers, 77.3% Nerfy, based on the fact that both teams, Atlanta hits the Nerfy in almost 87% of their away games, and Washington hits the Nerfy in almost 90% of their home games. The Nerfy in this game is hit, I believe, back-to-back games now. I think all my Nerfy plays between them and Baltimore and Toronto, I think Nerfy's have hit like 10, 11 games in a row now. It's amazing. So I know some of you have been hitting it because I saw it in the comments. So we're going to keep riding the Nerfy. Especially in this one, you see 77.3, anything over 70 is what I like to see. I like a 7 out of 10 shot, especially when the offenses are this abysmal. Atlanta, 2 runs a game in their last 3 games for 27th. Washington, 1.7 runs a game in their last 3 for 28th. Also, Atlanta's batting 147 as a team, and somehow that's not the worst. There are still 2 teams worse somehow in the majors in the last 3 games. Washington 202, and strikeouts 7-3 to 8-3, slight advantage Atlanta. So we are 100% looking at the Nerfy, but let's look at the pitchers first just to confirm that. We have Morton going out there for Atlanta. Dude, outside of when he placed Washington last time, when he had 12 hits, 8 earned runs, he got destroyed by Washington, who he is playing today. And again, the batter's going to have the advantage because the second time around. But will it be this much? I can't see that again. That was wild. No, I can't. Outside of that, we know what he's going to do. He's going to give at least 1 run. We're going to hope it's not the first inning. Simple enough. His last game was good though. Only 1 hit over 6. So maybe he took this beating and came back, and he's going to, avenge himself, if you will. Mackenzie Gore, we know what Gore does. He got roped up against the Mets in his last game. Outside of that, he's going to give up maybe a run or 2 a game. That's what he does. Gore's not a bad pitcher either. So we are not going to be looking at strikeout props for either one of these because neither team is striking out in the bottom 5, 6, 7 teams. Looking back at the data, we are going to take the Nerfy. We will ride the Nerfy until the wheels fall off. Until we lose something with the Nerfy, we will take that, especially 77% with 2 abysmal offenses. Yes, we will take that. Looking at the money line, Braves, I do not see the data telling me how they are favored when Washington should probably be favored, even though they're terrible also. So, yeah, we're going to pass on that. And the total, we are going to, it's 8.5 with 2 pitchers that have been rocked recently, but 1 bounce back. I expect the other to bounce back now. And both offenses being just so bad, so bad. I'm going to take the under of 8.5 in this one. 115, yeah, I'll take the under 8.5. We'll take the Nerfy and move on to the next game. Next up, we got Minnesota and Pittsburgh. We got Simeon Woods Richardson with a 305 against Mlodzinski. That's what we'll go with a 6.75, only 10 innings. He is a relief pitcher. This is a bullpen game for Pittsburgh. But the odds say Minnesota slight favorite on the road. 8.5 total with some juice on that over. Data, 61.4 Nerfy. We're going to pass on that. Stats, lean Pittsburgh. 6.7 runs for 4th best while batting 267 for 8th best in the last 3 games. Minnesota, 3.3 runs, batting 235. Minnesota's trending up. So is Pittsburgh still. They're still trending up in the runs. They're staying the same in but the Minnesota trend line's going up too. Both teams strike out a lot, 9.7 and 10.3. So what we will look at, we are going to look at strikeout props for at least Simeon over here. And you can see 2-2-1-4-6. He is not a strikeout dude. So we're not going to take a strikeout prop for him. And Pittsburgh's doing a bullpen game, so we're not going to do that either. We see 1 inning, 1 inning, 1 inning, 2 innings, 2 innings. I mean, no. Can't do that either, so that's a pass. Looking at the other information on the money line, we have Minnesota slightly favored. Pittsburgh has all the data pointing to them, but they are throwing out bullpen pitchers, so that makes it hard to pick. And I refuse to back Minnesota with that offense right now. I just can't do it. Over under on this one is 8.5, some juice on the over. That relies on Minnesota being able to get to the Pittsburgh bullpen pitchers. Can't trust that either. So based on that information, this entire game is going to be a pass. Next up, we got San Fran and Texas. We got Haney with a 3.99 for Texas, and I can't find anything to show who was going out for San Fran. However, there are some lines. We have the Rangers minus 145 at home, total 8.5 with some juice on the over. It amazes me how these line makers and odds makers can put out numbers when not knowing who the starting pitcher is for one of the teams. Unless they know and we don't know, that makes me question things. So, but we'll look at data anyways. Data, it leans San Fran 6.3 runs for 5th, 282 batting for 5th. So the bats clearly lean towards San Fran. Meanwhile, Texas 4 runs a game for 19th, 222 for 20th. Not bad, not great, lower end of average on this one. Both middle of the road on strikeouts, so nothing to really look at on strikeout props. Looking at the one pitching matchup weekend is Andrew Haney. We see 6 innings, decent numbers, got a little rock last couple games, but Arizona, Miami did decently. Even got 7 strikeouts, but outside of that, I wouldn't really call him a strikeout pitcher. So we're not looking as props. Looking at the picks again, Rangers are favored mainly because it's probably a bullpen game for San Francisco. Even though the stats lean San Francisco offensively, the pitching's going to lean Texas for sure in this one. When those two cross and there's no real definition of which side to take, we pass on everything and move on to the next game. Next up, we got Toronto and Oakland. Oakland with the walk-off home run bottom of the ninth last night was wild to watch live. Ooh, that's a fun way to lose a bet right there, I tell you. We have Gausman with a 4.6 up against Medina with a no ERA over his one game he's pitched this year. Looking at the odds, we have the Blue Jays 165, 7.5 with some juice on the over for the total. Data, beautiful 76% Nerfy. Toronto 87.5 Nerfy percent when they're on the road, and they have not hit a Nerfy, and I think I saw online 28 straight games now. The record's like 31 or 32, so they're approaching history. Oakland hits the Nerfy 87.8% of their home games, so we get a beautiful almost 77% Nerfy. On top of that, 3.3 runs a game for Toronto, 1.3 runs a game for Oakland. They both are bottom 8 in scoring runs. Toronto 226 batting average, Oakland 140 batting average for 29th. So both teams struggle to hit, struggle to score, and they can't score in the first inning. We are 100% taking the Nerfy in this game. Strikeouts, they're doing better. Oakland's only striking out 7 times a game. They went from 29th to 8th. They have turned it around in the past 2 weeks. Toronto, only 6 strikeouts a game. So no strikeout props for either team. Pitching side, we have Gausman going up 4.6 with a 1.34. Got rocked by Baltimore last game. Before that, White Sox decent. Detroit 10 strikeouts. That's impressive. Outside of that, a little bit just rocked against Minnesota, a little bit of Tampa Bay. So he gives up runs. We know that, but Oakland can't score, so I'm not too worried about it. Medina, on the other hand, he's had 1 game against Atlanta. And remember, Atlanta last week is in the bottom 5 category of they can't not score. They are struggling to hit the ball and they can't do anything. So just like Toronto, same team basically, just different jersey. So 5-2, only 2 hits, 1 run, 6 strikeouts. Decent game for him. So he's a decent pitcher. So looking at these two pitchers, looking at all the data, we see that neither team can score, neither team can hit. So we're going to take the Nerfy. Looking at the total, 7.5 is a little iffy. I want to take the under in this one. I might wait to see if it bumps to 8.5. If it does, I will jump on that. But if I have to, I'll take 7.5. But I'm not going to take a side because nothing tells me which side to take here. We know nothing. So we're going to pass on the side. We're going to take the under if we get 8.5. And then we are definitely taking the Nerfy next game. Next up, we got Baltimore and Tampa Bay. We got Bradish with a 3.18 and Bradley with a 5.81. Betting side shows Baltimore 135 on the money line. Over under 7.5, a little bit of juice on that over. Data, Nerfy is almost at the number, 69.73%, because Baltimore hits the road Nerfy 96.55 of their games this year. That is wild. Tampa hits the Nerfy 72% of their home games. That's how you get that number right there. Offensively, we have 9th for 5.7 runs a game for Tampa their last 3. Baltimore 4.3 runs in their last 3. Baltimore's batting 212. Tampa's batting 274, advantage Tampa in both of these. Strikeouts about the same, 9.3 and 8.7. They're both lower middle end, not enough for us to really look at strikeout props. We want 23rd, 24th or lower. We want teams struggling to hit the ball. So we're going to pass on strikeout props. Also, looking at the pitching matchup, these pitchers faced these exact teams last outing. And you can see Bradish, 7 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned, 6 Ks. He got a little roughed up by Tampa Bay. So when you're 6th or 9th in runs and 6th in batting, it's going to happen. However, Bradley got a beat down on him. 9 hits, 9 earned, 4 home runs, 3 strikeouts. We have 2 pitchers that have given up a ton of runs their last outing to these exact same teams. And I'm going to put my theory to the test that they always say is that the batter-pitcher matchup round 2 always favors the batter. So this one, we're going over 7.5. This should be more like 9, 10.5 based on that. If this whole theory is correct, we're basically testing a theory here. We want to see, does the batter have an advantage second time they face a pitcher, especially when it was their last game and both pitchers got rocked. So Over 7.5. Even if one of these pitchers calms down and the other doesn't, this should still hit the over, I think. So we're going to take the over 7.5 for sure. We're not going to take a side. I don't trust the side. Either with both these pitchers giving up so many runs, I can't do that. We're not taking strikeout props. Now the question is, I would usually take the Nerfy here because it's almost 70. It rounds up to 70, so I would normally take it. I didn't take it yesterday. I said I wouldn't take it, and what happened? It hit, yes, but then the top of the second, Baltimore hits a leadoff home run, so it was close. I'm going to pass again. I just, with the way these two pitchers have fared the last game, I can't do it. So we're going to avoid the Nerfy. We're going to take just the over, again, like yesterday, and root for offense. Next game. Next, Boston, Chicago White Sox. This is one of those games yesterday that I said, oh, no chill. Why is Boston an underdog? The stats line up. All of a sudden, Chicago breaks this 14-game losing streak. Yes, tell me some things aren't a little rigged occasionally from time to time. Come on, Vegas knows things that we don't know. It happens. Either way, they broke their 14-game losing streak. Congratulations. Now today we have Bello with a 4.36 against Nostrini with a 9.74 and a 2.07 whip. Oof. How are you in the majors? I don't know. But we have the betting side. Now Boston's a minus 240. Yesterday they were plus 105 or minus 105, but today minus 240. So yeah, over under 8.5, no juice there. Data, about the same as yesterday. Boston's still first in runs at 8.3 a game. They're still batting 361 as a team for first in the last 3 games. The White Sox, they're getting 5 runs a game for 11th. They're batting 250 as a team for 13th. Both teams are 9 and 9.7 on strikeouts. We can look at strikeout props with these two. We're going to pass on Murphy. Obviously, 58 is not good enough. Pitching side, Bello's going out there. Gave up 4 to Detroit. Gave up 3, 5, 2. He gives up runs. And we already know Nostrini gives up runs. 4, 3, and 8. That's been his career this year so far. So he's going to throw them taters, and they're going to get sent over walls, I believe. So the over-under in this one is 8.5, and I am taking that 100% because both pitchers are not doing too well. Nostrini's atrocious, but Bello, he gives up 3 or 4. He's not that good either. So we're definitely taking over 8.5. We're not taking a side. I just can't do it. No. After yesterday, I need a day. I need to recover. I got a hangover after yesterday, so we're not going to take a side. You can. I'm not. I'm going to pass on that. I'm just going to do like the last game. I'm going to take the over, and I'm just going to root for offense. Next game. Next up, we got the Cubs and the Reds. We got Brown with a 3.33 against Abbott with a 3.39. Betting side, slight favorite Reds at home on the money line, 9.5 with some heavy juice on that under. Data, 62% Nerfy, not what we're talking about. Offensively, Reds, 7.7 runs in the last 3 for second, 274 batting for 6. Cubs, 4.3 for 15th, 196 for 25th. They can't hit the ball. Strikeout-wise, Cubs are last, 11 strikeouts a game. Cincinnati is 14th at 8 strikeouts a game. Looking at pitching, we see Ben Brown. His last start was against the Reds, and he went 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 6 Ks. Not good. Not good, especially when you have the team that is number 2 offensively in runs and number 6 batting average. So that's not good for you at all. Looking at Abbott, we see that his last game in Colorado gave up 3, got rocked by St. Louis, decent against San Diego, and a couple decent games before that. So he's gotten rocked and given up some runs the last few games. And the fact that Ben Brown got rocked pretty hard, before that he was a beast. Look at these beastly numbers. But he got rocked. Again, today's whole theme is based on batters, pitchers, round 2, leaning towards the batters. So we are going to be taking, based on the data, based on Ben Brown's stats, we are going to take Cincinnati on the money line for sure in this one. Total 9.5. Based on this information, Abbott gives up this. I'm going to pass on the over-under. I leaned it over for a minute, but I think I'm going to pass. I am going to take Cincinnati on the money line. Strikeout props, we're going to look at Abbott strikeouts. 6, 3, 2, not a strikeout pitcher, so we're going to pass on those. So we'll take the Reds money line and move on to the next game. Next up, Milwaukee and Detroit. We got Peralta with a 3.74 and Mize with a 4.70. Betting side, Brewers decently favored on the money line, 8.5 in total with some juice on that under. Looking at the data, prepare yourself. Nerfy 59.4. Not what we're talking about. What we are going to talk about is the abysmal story of the Detroit Tigers offense. They're 1.3 runs a game for 29th. That's tied for last. And on batting, they're batting 112 as a team. Let me repeat that. That is 112 batting average. Milwaukee is literally middle of the road, 15th at 248. They are 136 points better than Detroit right now when it comes to batting. Detroit, look at the trend line. It's gone from one corner to the other. It is in the dirt. That's a ball. That's terrible. So, yeah, Milwaukee has the advantage in this one. Looking at the pitching, Peralta, you get to face this offense. Have fun. He gave up 3 runs to the White Sox. He struck out 11 Cubs flat the out before. Only the Houston got to him. So either Detroit's going to massively break out all of a sudden, or Peralta's going to have a beautiful game out there. So that's something to look at. We're not looking at strikeout props because, as you can see, neither team 9-7, 19-11, not worth we're looking at. But going back to pitching, Mize for Detroit gave up a couple runs, got rocked by KC a couple games before that. Some runs here and there. Nothing. He's not a strikeout dude. Nothing stands out for this one. The only thing we're going to look at is we're not going to take a total. 8.5, not really looking at that. We don't know what we're going to get because Detroit, they can't even hit the ball. So why would we take it over under? Because all we know, pass on that. Brewers 170. I'm going to put them in a money line parlay. I'm going to put the Brewers run line too. I'm going to do it. I feel like being a little risky today. So we'll take Milwaukee on the run line as well because of how pitiful Detroit's offense is. So Milwaukee run line, money line on the parlay, next game. Next up, Seattle and Kansas City. How about the comeback win for Kansas City last night? I know Seattle ticket holders were upset after that one was over. Today, we got Castillo with a 2.99 against Marshall at 3.76. Betting, Mariners slight favorite. Money line, 8.5. A little bit of juice on the over. Data, 47.7 Nerfy pass. Casey has the advantage on offense, 6.3 versus 4.3. Seattle, middle of the road, not bad. Batting average-wise, though, terrible. 189 for Seattle for 26. Kansas City, 283 for 4th. Almost 100-point difference on batting averages is something to notice. Strikeout-wise, 9.7 versus 8.0. Looking at the pitching matchups, we see Castillo is out here. Had a great game against the Angels, 7 innings, 2 hits. Before that, 2 earned. He gives up 2. It's what he does. His last game was there. So we expect probably going to give up 2. Especially to an offense that is hot as Kansas City, at 6.3 and batting 283. So we're expecting at least a couple runs from Kansas City against Castillo. However, Marsh gives up 5-3. He gives up runs, especially, in 5 innings he gave that too. Not good. So looking back at the odds, moneyline Mariners, mainly because Marsh is so terrible, but the offense leans Kansas City. We have a pitching advantage, one team, offense advantage, another team that cancels each other out. So we're going to pass on the side. Total 8.5. One pitcher tends to get rocked. The other one pitched great in his last game. I'm going to pass on that as well. To me, this entire game is going to be a pass. Next game. Next up, Colorado, St. Louis. We got Feltner with a 6.22 against Gibson with a 3.69. Betting markets, heavy favorite Cardinals at home, 8.5 total. A little bit of juice on the under. Data, 60% Nerfy. It's a pass here. Colorado, 5 runs a game in their last 3 for 11th. St. Louis, 4.7 for 14th. No real advantage here. Same for batting average, 257 versus 253. Not an advantage. Strikeout-wise, 9.7 versus 5. So Colorado does strike out a lot more than St. Louis does. Looking at the pitching matchups here, we have Colorado sending out Feltner, who got absolutely destroyed in his last couple games. 10 hits, 8 earned against Cincy, 8 hits, 5 earned against Cleveland. Good game against Oakland, but then got destroyed against San Fran. So this dude isn't that good, especially with a 6.22 at a 1.55. These are terrible numbers. So we know Colorado's pitching. This guy isn't good. Looking at St. Louis, 3.69, damn near fine with a 1.23 whip. 3 earned runs, 1-0. Got roughed up against Boston, but outside that, much better numbers than Feltner. I mean, let's be honest here. So looking back at the stats, we see, Cleveland, St. Louis is favored for a reason because of how bad Feltner is. The statistics you see are pretty even across the board. I am going to rock with St. Louis on a moneyline parlay. I'm not going to take him on a run line. I'm just expecting St. Louis's middle of the road bats to be able to just absolutely destroy this pitching because this pitching is terrible. I know Cincy's offense has been good and Cleveland's offense has been decent. Cleveland's offense is terrible now. So this is when they were great and they were downtrending and they still were able to pop off for this much against them. So I'm going to take St. Louis on the money line for sure. Over under 8.5, we're going to pass on. We're going to pass strikeout props, just the money line parlay, and move on to the next game. Next up, we got Cleveland and Miami. We got Lively with a 284 against Munoz with a 517. Looking at betting, Cleveland, decently heavy favorite on the road, 8.5 on the total with some juice on the under. Looking at the data, 58.5 on the nerf, he's a pass. Both teams, 4.3 and 3.7, slight advantage Cleveland. Batting average, slight advantage Miami, 250 to 229. Both strike out right about the same, 7.7, 7.3. No real advantages there. Looking at the pitching, Lively, you know what you get with him. 2, 2, 1, 3. He's going to get up a run or two a game. He's going to be pretty decent. We like consistency in this game. That's what he is. He's consistency. Munoz, on the other hand, got rocked by the Dodgers last game. 7 hits, 6 earned, 4 home runs, 4 walks, but got 5 Ks. So you're either going to swing and miss or you're going to knock it out of the park with him. So with this one, looking back at the data, we see that they're both middle of the road. Nothing stands out here, but we do have that pitching advantage. We do see the Cleveland is favored on the money line. I'm going to throw them in a money line parlay, but I'm not going to take a total. I'm not going to take a K prop. So just Cleveland, money line parlay, next game. All right, next up, we got LA and New York, a game that boggled my mind yesterday. It was 0-0 late in the game, and go extra innings and end up 2-1. Yeah, just like everyone predicted, right? Sure. Today we have Stone with a 2-9 against Cortez with a 3-4-7. Betting market, slight favorite New York at home, 8.5 total, juice on that over. Data, 37.7 nerfy. We pass on that all day. 6-3 for 5th on runs for Dodgers, 6 for 8th for the Yankees. Both top 8 in runs. Not last night, but even with those numbers, they're still in the top 8 for batting runs in the last 3 games. Dodgers 254 average. Meanwhile, New York 214 advantage Dodgers. So we have 2 slight advantages Dodgers on runs and batting average. Strikeouts wise, 9.7 for Dodgers, 10.7 Yankees. We are going to look at strikeout props for both pitchers because for the pitching, we have Stone pitching. He did great against Colorado. He did great against the Mets. Gave a little bit against Arizona, but then great against San Fran and great against Miami. So, and he's 4.2, 5.76. He's struck out more in his last 2 games than he had the other 3 games. So we're going to look at his prop. If his prop's like 4.5, maybe 5.5, I might take it. So anything crazier than that, I'm passing on. I just can't do it based on the stats and everything. Cortez, on the other hand, gave up 3 runs against San Fran. Had 2 great games against Seattle and the White Sox, and then Tampa Bay for 4. Outside 7, 4, 6, 6, 5. It's about a 6, 5.5 run strikeout. Again, if it's like a 5.5, I might look at that one as well, see what the juice is, but we'll have to look at those later. So we'll look at both strikeout props when it comes to the data and the pitching matchups and the money lines and the overs and unders. Offensively, both teams have that offense, but after yesterday, I'm a little nervous taking over under with them, especially at 8.5 with some heavy juice on the over. It was tied at 0 going to extra innings, I believe, and it ended up 2-1. So I am a little skeptical with 2 pretty decent pitchers and Nasty Nestor and Gavin Stone going out there. So we're going to pass on that over under. Sidewise, I can't really begin to pick a side. Both pitchers seem pretty decent. Both offenses, slight advantage to the Dodgers. We're going to pass on that as well. We are going to look at the K props for both pitchers and just move on to the next game. Next up, Arizona, San Diego. We got Nelson with a 5.44 against Waldron with a 3.98. Betting side, Padres, decently heavy favorite at home on the money line. 7.5 with a little bit of juice on that over for the total. Data, we see 54.9 nerfy. That's a pass. 3.3 runs a game in the last 3 for Arizona for 22nd. San Diego 5 runs a game for 11th. San Diego's batting 305 as a team in their last 3 games. Meanwhile, Arizona's batting 243. So heavy advantage San Diego on the batting average. Decent advantage San Diego on runs. And San Diego's always going to be top 3 when it comes to strikeouts. They're only doing 4 strikeouts a game in their last 3. 5.2 in their last 7, 5.2 in the last week, 2 weeks for them. So Arizona, 10 for 27. So we're going to look at strikeout props for the San Diego pitcher, who is Waldron. He is struck out 4, 8, 7, 10, 6. So we are going to look at his prop and see what number we can get there. That might be worth taking based on the odds and what the number is. Outside of that, just looking at actual pitching, we see 6 innings, pretty good stats, pretty good. His numbers are pretty consistent. They're good numbers. He got roughed up back at the start of May one time, and outside of that, he's settled down. He's been pretty good since. So Arizona sending out Nelson, who 2 earned, 4 earned, great game against the Dodgers for 5 innings, and got roughed up against Detroit of all teams. Outside of that, pretty good games himself. So I would lean San Diego for the pitching. I'm definitely leaning San Diego for the offense. Statistically, plus pitching, plus the stats, we see San Diego's favorite. I will put San Diego as a money line parlay piece. I will not take a total in this one. We are going to look at Waldron's strikeout props because of how the data shows Arizona striking out 10 times a game. And other than that, move on to, that's it. All right, last game. It's Houston, LA. It's Hunter Brown with a 6.18 up against Anderson with a 2.37. Betting has Houston as a decent favorite on the road. 8.5 is the total. Look at the data. 51.7 Nervy, not what we're talking about. All the offensive stuff leans towards Houston, 5.7 and 255 over the last 3 versus 2.7 and 181. Angels are struggling to hit the ball. Looking at the pitching matchup, on strikeouts first, we see that both teams are top 5, so we're not looking at K props. Pitching itself, Hunter Brown, 6.18 ERA, 1.57, yet they're favored at 1.65. That doesn't make sense to me. Yes, he's pitching slightly better, but compared, he still has a 6.18 ERA, and he still has a 1.57 whip because 3 walks. Okay, he pitched great against Seattle, sure, and he's pitched better against Minnesota, but Minnesota's offense is not great right now, so what does that tell us? Not much. Anderson, on the other hand, is pitching better. 1. Yeah, I'll take LA in the pitching matchup here. Houston has the offensive matchup here. But yeah, Houston is a pretty, in money line, that's a pretty good favor for baseball. So I'm going to pass on the money line in this one because I don't want to back somebody with a, what is that, a 6.18 and a 1.57. I'm not doing it. You can. I'm not. So we're going to pass on that. We're going to pass on the total because we don't know anything. But these pitchers are pitching better, but LA's offense is so terrible and Houston's offense is better. I'm going to pass on that. Really, this entire game is going to be a pass. That's it. We did it. We made it through all 15 games, broken down statistics, stats, probability predictions, what have you. Drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, and let me know in the comments if you've been following. Let me know how you're doing, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.